You want to go ahead? Do you have the English one ready to go so that they can see the demonstration?
Yes, the English version went live this morning.
Okay, so why don't we try it? Let me give you access so that you can share the screen, and then maybe everybody can try it in English. Go ahead and put it up on the share screen, and then that way they can try it now in English.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
We see your screen.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna go to the prototype app. So this morning we went ahead and the English version of the prototype. You can register. This is a separate account from COVID Fighter app. So if you sign up here, this will be completely different from your COVID Fighter connection. I'm gonna sign in since I already created an account.
There's a delay in your computer for some reason.
We're not seeing anything, Camilo.
Nothing shows up yet.
Just lines.
Yes.
One moment. Something's going on then. I thought my screen was showing.
Well, there's a screen for it's diagonal
one
lines. That's all that's on there, diagonal lines.
Diagonal lines?
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. I have an Ubuntu computer. It's now Windows, it's not Mac. Just bear with me.
Okay, now we're seeing something. We see the wings of an airplane.
Okay. Okay,
Well, no, it's back now to the gray screen.
It's back. Okay. So you can see this here now.
Yes, we see in the center, there's the gray with the lines. You see an airplane wing on the left-hand side, and then it looks like red. Yeah, you've just moved that. Okay, now we can see the app. Yes, now we're seeing.
You can see the app.
Yes.
You can see the whole screen of the app.
Yeah, it's right in the middle of the screen, so it's not the full screen. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this has already detected that I'm registered. Usually it will give you the welcome screen, and it will ask you just some basic information about you, just your name for now. As soon as you complete that, it's gonna go to this screen, which is your questionnaire. The English version went live this morning, so you should be able to answer the questions in English as well. It's just a quick demo of this basically tally system that we have to give you a risk level. So based on these questions, you're gonna be assigned a risk level. At the end of this feature, we've integrated just a quick survey to tell us if you like this or not. So anybody who signs in will have your email, and anybody who completes this it will be anonymous, but we'll have the submission.
Very good. So are you going to send this out to all of the CTSs? Is that the idea, or what's?
Yeah, whoever wants to start going to the site, hispanovida.web.app. I know it says hispanovida.com. Sorry about that.
Do you want to promote that, or do you want to? If you want to send me that address, I can put something in the.
I'll put it in the chat now.
Put in the chat.
Camila, I'm trying to understand like how this ties to the COVID Fighter app. Like when you create this account in Hispanovida, are you also creating the same account in the COVID Fighter app?
No, it's a separate account. It's just for prototype.
Okay.
It's going to be included in the COVID Fighter app, or it's going to be apart?
We haven't decided yet. That's why the survey is there.
Yeah, but that's the plan. The plan is to include it. It'll be the first thing you see on COVID Fighter.
Okay.
Okay.
And it, you know, for marketing, it could be another way of creating an account inside of your COVID Fighter app. But, you know, for the purposes of the drive-through approval and all that other stuff we talked about, it would need to be inside of the app. Because we, you know, from the testing end, we want to grab information from one place, now not from, you know, because ultimately you're only doing this because you want them to get content, right?
But, but this is just, he's just talking about, this is just a beta right now for the CTSs. It's not live for anybody. Isn't that right? That's what I understand.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Camilo, when it's integrated into the app, you're gonna have like a profile of all the different times that they've taken this questionnaire and what they've scored, or how?
So the way that I was thinking we were gonna integrate it is the second question, we're gonna have to put it into the user profile. So this is a question that it's gonna be long-term in the user profile. Do you have any of the following medical conditions? So this will stay long-term. And
Got it.
for the other ones, we're gonna be adding symptoms to our reporting. So if anybody wants to report any of these symptoms, they can. If they don't have to.
But okay, this is a little bit different than what Jack was explaining. It seems like if they first sign in, if they get this, it's just a screening, and it's not going to confuse them with the 4 symptoms.
Let's go to the functionality so that it's clear, Camilo. So we want Hispanovida would be the Spanish way to go into COVID Fighter. It will go straight into the Spanish COVID Fighter, right? It won't be a site. It will just be a redirect. COVID Fighter will start initially with these questions and risk assessment. That's how it's going to start. So basically, you would insert this functionality right after they fill out the information. You see what I mean?
Correct. This will be part of their welcome screen.
Correct. So then, but once they've signed up, then they go into the COVID Fighter. If they're medium or high risk, they go immediately to a contact tracer, and that's when it goes to you communicate with Django and the Django, Tommy and Hernan, because we're gonna need more information in order to get him ready for testing. So I'll let you work that out with Tommy and Hernan. But we're gonna need address, the address of these people so that we can geolocate them. So we may not, we'll leave the geo feature if they want to use it or not, but at least we need their home address in order to get them ready for testing. And then we'll use that to create the maps. So we'll need to find a way to download that.
Okay, we can run a report with the live addresses.
Perfect.
Let's touch on the point of the integration. The reason why I mentioned it the way that I mentioned it is because for us to start recording these symptoms, the way that it's built right now is each report it can take any of these, but it doesn't have to take them. But I have to build so it can accept these additional conditions now. Now, if we want to allow
the symptom reporting
continuing, if we want to allow existing patients to
no, we don't. No, we don't.
Do these symptoms or not?
No, we don't. We're gonna keep.
I understand we want to leave it the 4, but for me, to build it, we still have to build it so they can report all of these symptoms, and then we'll hide it. It'll still be hidden for the additional reports.
That's fine. Yeah, that would be good.
For that initial report, we're still going to be collecting that additional data. So they will be filling out a report with additional data of additional symptoms on that welcome screen.
Okay.
But let me ask you this, Camilo. Do we need to collect the data on every symptom, or do we just want to know whether they're high, medium, or low?
we have to collect data on every symptom to add up the total.
Okay, all right.
So it has to be a true or false. I have to have a true or from the PUI
Okay, gotcha.
on each symptom.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, makes sense.
But then for the regular reporting, for the monitoring itself, you can hide the rest of the symptoms and only do the three that we're, or the four that we're using now, right? Camilo?
Yeah, so right now it's only those four. I
Yeah.
would have to build additional tools to change it to one of the additional.
No, we don't want to. We
But
don't
for now,
want
I
to.
do have to build it in the back end,
Right.
these symptoms, and I do have to integrate them into the welcome screen.
Right. So all we want, the only reason we want these symptoms is only for strictly for risk assessment. There's no other reason. We don't need it for any other reason. So
In the welcome screen.
in the welcome screen for the monitoring, we only need the four symptoms that we talked about. So you can suppress all these from the monitoring. That makes sense?
In the monitoring, we're only going to keep the four that we talked about, that
Correct.
we have already.
So basically, the data is not going to change at all. The only thing we're changing is that we're inserting this risk assessment at the very beginning. That's all we're doing.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not going to change much. Only for the
Right.
new users, it's going to change a little bit in the welcome screen.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do about the old users. This is all for the new users.
And Camilo, if the people want to go back and look at what they indicated on this, will they be able to see this again, or is it going to go away? Because I'm thinking, as a user, I'd like to. If I'm into it 3 days, I might be interested to know, what did I say, or what is my risk now? Can they retake it another time, or what? Or it's just a
Yes.
one-time thing?
So after you complete your welcome report, you create a report. Sorry. It was a little choppy. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, do you need me to say that again?
Please.
Okay, so my question is, as a user, will they be able to go back and see what their answers were, and as a reference point for them? And if they wanted to take it over, 5 days into their illness, can they retake it?
Yeah. I
Okay,
think
the
that's
way
just
that
gonna
we
be-
are implementing it. Yeah, the way that we are implementing it now, the way that we're talking about now to implement it is that only in the welcome screen, they will be able to put those additional symptoms.
Why?
And that is if they have not been testing.
Right.
What?
But, so then this goes away. They'll never see this again. Will the results remain there so they can go back and see them?
They will be able to see it.
Okay, great.
Yes, it will be part of the reports.
It'll be kind of part of the record, right? So they can
Yeah.
go back and see what they reported, right?
Okay, good. Yeah, I just
That's
was
what
trying
John-
to visualize, because I just wanted, so we
Yeah,
can know.
I don't
what
think we necessarily want them to take it again, but we do want them to.
So
it's okay for the
just to be
in the
clear,
record.
when they complete the welcome screen, yes, I'm sorry. Just to be clear, when they complete the welcome screen, they complete a report, and these reports are separate from all the database, from all the other records. They make a report which has all those symptoms in it.
Okay, so Camilo, let's exit this and let's go into COVID fighter real quick, so we can figure out where we're gonna put the. So we make it a lot easier. So
Just to clarify,
actually,
too,
get rid of that thing in the middle. You have something in the middle. I don't know what it is. It's like there's a box in the middle. Yeah, I don't know. It's still there. You know what? Let me. Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah. That box is gone now. Yeah. So I think right here, when you say sign up, right? You sign up, right?
I can create a new account.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where we're gonna put when are we gonna start with the risk assessment? So yeah, create a new account.
Okay. Sorry.
Can I clarify something real quick?
Yeah.
The, the only way I see this working, we got to think of the questionnaire. The questionnaire is a form of payment from the drive-through, from the testing end. So the patients, your patients that go into the COVID Fighter app, if in a month after doing their first assessment and doing their questionnaire, getting contact traced, they want to get retested, they need to retake this questionnaire to score medium or high risk to get tested again. Because on the drive-through end, that's how we're approving them. I thought that was the concept, is we're only approving medium to high risk patients to get tested through the drive-through. So
Right.
they need a way of retaking this questionnaire and we have to have a way of tracking it over time. As John mentioned, like you'll be able to go back and see how you scored.
Can we open the questionnaire? So like in the bottom, it says additional symptoms, and they click that button and it opens up the additional symptoms for them. And it focuses at initially only on the 4, but only when you click that button at the bottom and if you click that plus button and it says open the additional symptoms, then it shows you the additional symptoms.
Okay.
That could be a solution.
Okay, so like they retake it, but only those additional symptoms, and then that will be stored to give them a new score. Because what you're saying pretty much is their underlying conditions remain the same, so we don't necessarily need them to retake.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Why do we want them to retake the test again? I don't get that.
To get approved for testing.
No, but if you take it only once and you're high risk, why do you need to take it again?
Well, they have the same profile if they want to retake a test in a month from now, right? Like if a patient's positive now, but wants to use the same profile to get retested, I mean, they're not going to go into COVID Fighter and make a new account, right?
Yes, that makes perfect sense for
I
repeat
mean, if they're
users.
negative now, if they're negative now.
Negative or, I mean, yeah.
How long it lasts a
risk.
negative result? How long it lasts a negative result? It lasts for 15 days, 20 days, no more than that.
Right. So no, if you're negative, if you're low risk, if you're saying, Tommy, if you're low risk, can you retake it again? So I think, yes, I think if you're low risk, we should allow them to retake it again.
But I can be positive this month, and then in a month from now, 2 months from now, get positive again, right? So if that's the case, then why wouldn't we give them the option to get retested again?
Yes.
In a month from now or 2 months from now. The idea would be that the questionnaire is a form of payment if they score medium or high risk to get tested.
Right.
In any scenario. So then what you need to do is determine, okay, well, how often can this patient do the questionnaire to get tested? And how long is that questionnaire valid as a form of payment for testing? So they take the questionnaire, they have a 2-week period after the questionnaire to click on a button to go to the testing website. And then if they want to retake it, they can just, they would click a button to retake it.
So if you click on COVID-19 now, what does that say? What Camilo?
So right now it says not
Okay,
tested, tested.
Okay, so wait, so
the next
so this is it. So I think on this one, if they
we have 4 updates.
Okay, if they're tested, then it doesn't matter as far as getting a risk assessment, right? So if they click not tested, right? So if they click tested, then you go on with this the same way you have it, right, Camilo? If they click not tested, then you need to default them into the risk assessment. That's the way to do this.
Yes. So the symptoms tab, I believe everybody we were moving on track to change this to 4 different things from our last meeting. We were going to change it to not tested, tested positive, tested but not positive, and tested pending results. From our last meeting, we said that we were changing.
You're changing those.
Yes,
right?
in 3.1 update. Yes, in the 3.1 update, those are going to be changed to 4 different things.
Okay, so what are those things? Not tested?
So not tested, tested positive, tested and not positive, and tested and pending result.
So basically, if you click not tested or tested pending results, that's when you take the risk assessment.
Yes. Well,
No.
Because if you
that was
tested
what we were
positive, you don't need a risk assessment.
discussing. Yes.
You're already positive.
That part wasn't 100% precise yet.
Right. So if you tested positive, you don't need a risk assessment because you already are positive. So there's,
For how long?
well, if you come back, yeah, the problem is with these redos is going to be harder to do. The people that come back again, you see what I'm saying? But I see
What
what
if
Tommy's
somebody?
saying.
What if people is gonna get nervous? They watch news. What if someone wants to come back 1 week later and order a test through this system?
Yeah, so the question is, at that point, they're already registered, right, Camilo? They already have an account. That's a whole
Yeah,
different.
so the way that
They're
it
not
works
signing
right
up
now
again.
is once you have an account and you go through the system, there's a button
You add a button for risk
that would
assessment.
allow you to go
Say,
back and
right.
get contacted by CTS, maybe potentially get tested again.
And a risk assessment again. Got it. Okay.
But only
But
test
yeah, it depends what we want to do.
No, I think what Tommy said is fine.
I think a really easy solution for this will be that additional symptoms, maybe in the bottom of the report section for
No, I would call it.
existing
I would
users
call
to
it
be able to.
I would call it risk assessment, not additional symptoms.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes.
a history of the risk assessments that they've taken, and then the ability to take more. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And a higher medium risk is only valid for a period of time to transfer them to the testing site. It's pretty simple. I mean, what you do on the front end regarding, what they click for symptoms and the workflow you want to establish, that works. You can create, but regardless of if a patient clicks tested negative, when they go into their profile, they still have the ability to fill out this questionnaire if they choose to, and if they get medium or high risk, they'll have now the option to get tested as well. So regardless of what they choose there, when they're actually inside of the site, they can still go into this questionnaire and see a history of the questionnaires. But on the front end, it would make sense that if they say that I'm tested and negative, you don't send them to the questionnaire automatically, but it's still an option, when they get inside.
So my thought is
Very nice. I like that.
my thought is, can we stop it? Can we stop this questionnaire at COVID-19 and basically, you see what I'm saying? So basically, don't continue with the questionnaire. But when it says COVID-19, then depending on the response to that, we determine where they go. You see what I'm saying? If they say tested, then they go with this same thing the way you had it. If they say not tested, then they should go to the risk assessment section. Got it?
Yeah.
Actually, Jack, that makes really good sense because they also don't have to do symptoms twice.
Yeah, because why asking for these 4 symptoms and then
Yeah.
the symptoms again?
Because if they get enrolled in COVID Fighter, then the CTS is going to ask them their symptoms as well. So we don't need those 4 symptoms there. You're right. It's like, so those categories that Camila just listed, tested, positive, not tested with symptoms, or whatever they were, we could just have those, and that would indicate it would go down then to the risk assessment.
Right. Does that make sense, Camilo?
I understand the, so if
You know,
they're not tested,
yeah, I would, you know what, I'm kind of thinking about just keeping it to tested and not tested. It's probably, um, because if they tested, um, then, you know, if they're negative or if they're spending or either way, it's going to go to a CTS no matter what they answer, right?
Yeah, but I still think, but again, if we're thinking about this is also part of the reason for this is to encourage them to do contact tracing. Having this information is very, I think it's really helpful.
Okay.
So I would say that, so
so,
not,
sorry,
it all
if we
depends on
don't
whether
ask
they've
for
got
the
symptoms.
symptoms,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Camilo. What were you saying?
so sorry guys, if we don't, the reason why I'm kind of getting a little stuck here is because if we don't report symptoms on the welcome page, then these people won't have a report where they start from, and then it's gonna be the same issue with the people that we create, that they just don't report at all. They don't care to report.
Okay, because
They don't use the reporting feature at all.
that's what activates the monitoring aspect. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
They're actually creating a report and they're actually filling out the
right.
geolocation
Gotcha.
with
Yeah.
when they report the symptom.
Can that be? I don't know. You know, again, I don't know anything about you know, coding and stuff, but can that be embedded in the four symptoms in the questionnaire?
It, yeah, I mean, it is in this questionnaire, in this welcome questionnaire.
No, but
It
I'm
is
saying
here.
in the risk assessment, can it be
yeah,
embedded?
yeah. You know what? Why don't we, for the initial risk assessment, why don't you just ask all the symptoms that are in that on the risk assessment questionnaire, not just those four? Not for monitoring purposes. I'm saying for that initial questionnaire. Can you add all those other symptoms?
We can do, whatever you guys tell me, whatever we fall down to concrete, I'll follow 100%. What
Because I'm
we
thinking
talked
also
about
Other,
for
last
information
time,
purposes, it might be good to have this data for positive people.
say
yes.
other way to
Well,
say this: is there a reason, a particular reason, to have only the four symptoms initially asked for?
Only
There's no
because of
reason.
monitoring, it was simpler.
But from this point, it's better to include all the other symptoms, as you
Yeah,
said.
yeah, I would say not for monitoring, but for this initial questionnaire, yes, and then suppress them in subsequent monitoring. Camille, if you can do that. Is
okay,
that possible?
so the way that I'm seeing the what we were following through from our last meeting for the 3.1 update, changing these four the COVID-19 to the four different answers. We were gonna make it so they're not tested or tested pending. It was gonna, for the symptoms question, it was gonna activate the additional symptoms.
Right.
And for now, I wasn't gonna activate these symptoms in regular reporting, but I was gonna create something in the database for for the reports. So every time you fill out a report, there is a true or false question on the additional symptoms.
For the initial symptoms.
Um, yeah. So each report is a report independent. You know, this is a report that a person is doing. They're reporting what their symptoms are and their location.
Yeah, so the data, like for
Um,
example, when people
for
report this first set of symptoms, we want to be able to correlate that with the fact. So we say how many positive PCR people who are reporting they were positive had these symptoms. So it would be good for us going forward in seeing how accurate our risk assessment is. You see what I'm saying? That's why we want to include all the symptoms on that first try, not on the monitoring, because it doesn't matter on the monitoring. Because on the monitoring,
yeah,
honestly, all we want to know is if they're short of breath. That's really the only thing we really want to know. But that's
yeah,
okay. You know, we have all
that
these
would
other 3, 4, whatever.
exactly. We were only going to implement it here in the welcome screen.
Okay.
We were going to have additional symptoms that pop up if
Okay.
they indicate the two either they're not tested or they are testing and pending results.
I would say for everybody, because even if they were positive, we would want to know, this is good data for us to have. Like how many of our positive had a fever? How many of our positives have shortness of breath? So that we can also use this to modify that algorithm. You see what I mean, Camilo?
Okay.
So you kind of need it for
one
everybody, no matter
solution that
what
I've
they.
been one solution that definitely we're going to be talking about is just clicking the additional symptoms button on each report. So here we're definitely going to include it, the additional symptoms underneath.
Right.
We're definitely going to
But then
have this.
obviously you don't go to a risk assessment if you already tested positive, right? But the others would go into a risk assessment.
Exactly. So what Tommy was speaking about,
Right.
we should have a risk assessment tab here so people can select it. Basically, what I'm thinking is their
Well,
risk
you could
assessment
put,
is going to come out here.
yeah, what Tommy's
Sorry.
saying is you could say retake risk assessment. Maybe you have your symptoms
Retake
change.
risk assessment, we can
risk
add it here. And the actual risk assessment for everybody, it's going to start coming out for everybody based on your reports. I mean, unless we hide it for people that have not taken those additional symptoms or don't have the special type of symptoms that require risk assessment.
I would put it for all patients to be able to like if you could add it there as another it just says risk assessment. They click on it, and then when they go inside.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is what you were saying is a button that they can click risk assessment.
Mhm.
And then if they click that, okay, we know for sure they want a risk assessment, and then it will pop up for sure.
Well, when
yeah.
when they click on that risk assessment, the first thing that pops up is a bunch of rows of all the times that they took the risk assessment, and then the date that they took the risk assessment, the score that they got, and then like high risk, low, medium, or low. So then you have a history in rows of the times they took the risk assessment, and then a button below that that says, or on the very top that says retake. They click on retake, and they fill out the form. When they finish it, it shows up as another row in their history. So it could be like a button there that says risk assessment history or just risk assessment, and they go into a profile. When you have all the rows of the different risk assessments they've taken, another thing that you could put on the row is a button that says get tested. So then they can only click that button once to get redirected to our site to fill out the form and get an appointment. So then you could track it over time, like John was saying. Does that make sense? I know there's a lot of that goes into building that though, but I think that would be the concept.
So
here.
yeah, the way that we were thinking of implementing it was when you take that risk assessment, it would indicate that you want to be shown what your risk level is. But regardless, everybody will have a risk level that we can calculate based on their reports, so to speak.
Got it.
Use the word your risk
So we have a
assessment.
function that will calculate anybody on our platform if they what the risk level is, but it will only do so if they indicate that they want a risk assessment or not. If they're a new user or if they're an existing user that indicates that they want a risk assessment
Right.
in one of these buttons.
I think the only way to do this is, Camilo, is let's just start, playing with it, and then we need to go through it like functionally and just see, how it works functionally. Because I'm sure we're going to need to tweak it multiple
Okay.
times. Can you have like a beta version
Yes.
on the background before you launch it, or and then we start tweaking it until we get it perfected? Or do you have to, every
So
time you
we-
make changes, does it go live?
Yeah, we have a separate database, which is the Hispanovida database. We can use that for prototypes, and it will be completely different from the actual COVID fighter. But anything we roll out on COVID fighter, it will show to all the COVID fighter users.
Yeah, so we need to kind of, before you make any change on the big cover fighter, let's talk about it especially with the team that's working with with PUIs right now, to make sure that they know what we're changing, so that it doesn't look so that they're ready for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And the other thing I was thinking about
honestly,
is,
if we had,
what happens with people that just want to take a risk assessment. 'Cause it sounds to me like, this all happens before they even create the account, right? The risk assessment.
No, they create their account and then, and while they're creating their account, they come up with the risk assessment.
That's what it seems like to me, but they haven't confirmed the email yet or anything, have they? When you get there, Camilo?
not necessarily, no.
You're kind of in the middle. You haven't really finished registering.
You gave us your email. That's about it.
That's all you did, right? So far, you're not fully registered yet.
You can make a requirement to do the risk assessment to fully complete. the
Exactly.
process. You just
To
say
make a
that,
requirement.
yeah, like this
But
button here that says,
I'm gonna have to go. I've got another appointment at 3:30, so I'm gonna have to go. So I'll just catch up to hear what you all decide.
Okay,
Later.
we'll keep you posted, John.
Okay.
Very good.
Thanks. Good work. Great work, Camilo. Really super. Thanks, you all.
Take care, John.
See you.
So,
I think it's rather straightforward, just a button that says risk assessment and testing. And then the only way they can click on there, they go into a history of the risk assessments that they've taken. If they haven't taken any, there's just a button that says take risk assessment. But then there's something that says, you click on it, but it says can't take risk assessment because profile hasn't been completed. So then they go to the profile, they fill out their full profile, then they can go back to this app.
Yeah.
that says risk
Let me-
assessment testing.
let me ask a question. Because, what made this very popular in Ecuador was the ease of access. So I'm kind of wondering whether we just keep it we keep the risk. You can build in a risk assessment here, that's fine. But this application is kind of working, the COVID Fighter, right? It's working in English and Spanish. We're tracking people with it. I wonder if we don't want to mess with it too much and just somehow keep the Hispanovida, just link the Hispanovida to it somehow. Is that possible, Camilo? I know it's kind of a pain to have two separate systems, but I'm kind of thinking, because this is so much easier, right? You could do it in 5 minutes. You don't have to go through too much. You know what I mean?
I agree with having one system instead of like switching from one to another, like having two. It'll be a little cumbersome for everyone.
Well, the question is, can we transfer the information from this system to the COVID Fighter, Camilo? How easy is that? Is that too complicated?
That's a
Yes,
technical question. Yeah.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Camilo.
yeah, it would be the same as creating an account for a person referred to us by a lab. We would
So
just have
basically,
to
you can
either
populate
input the
whatever
we
information
could
they already
send an
gave
email.
you right into the COVID Fighter, right?
We can create, yes, functions that integrate directly from one database to another.
I'm just thinking.
That is a
what's the quickest-
possibility, yes.
My question is, what's the quickest way to launch this? Because it sounds to me like if we start to twinking around the COVID Fighter app, and it's going to take us a couple of weeks to get this done. Because even as simple as this, as the release here, it's a whole different release because you're releasing for, this could be inaccurate, you could be positive and still show low risk. we have to have all those disclaimers. It's a different type of, the risk assessment is like an entirely different thing, is my thinking. So my question is, when they're finished with this risk assessment, if it's medium or high, do you have a way to automatically start creating an account on Cover Fighter? Is that possible or not?
We can create functions that integrate from one database to another. Yeah, we're gonna have to build them, but yeah, they're possible. Yes, this is a possibility.
Is it easy? I mean, could it be automatic that, okay, so now it's high risk. Now at this point, instead of the questionnaire at the bottom, it would say connect with Cover Fighter app or something like that, or it could happen automatically.
It will at least ask the person to verify their email on the second database.
Okay.
That is the minimum requirement. That it will at least send them an email to verify on the second database their email. Yeah, so the way that the authentication works, they're gonna have to verify just their email. That's the only thing.
So let's go back to the beginning again on this. Can we get an address at the beginning of this, of the risk assessment?
Yes. In that user pop-up.
Yeah, in addition to the phone number, can we get an address?
Yes, definitely.
Because the address would give us the geolocation.
There's no issue.
Right. So
yes.
just
And
add
if
an
not, we
address
can also
there.
do a GPS.
Okay, and can they use the same password on Cover Fighter on this one or not?
Yes. So the way that it's gonna work, it's gonna ask them to verify their email and their password.
When they go to
They
Cover
will
Fighter.
have to verify their email, and when they go to COVID Fighter, they would have to verify their email, and then they would have to reset their password.
Would it migrate the questionnaire to Cover Fighter, or would it stay here?
We're still at such an early age of this that we can actually integrate both websites to connect to the same database.
That's what I think we should do.
If we choose to, we can disconnect this from the Hispanovida second database that we created and connect this website directly to the COVID Fighter website. And then these people can create accounts on this app thinking that it's a second app, but they're actually creating an account in the database of COVID Fighter.
Sounds great.
That sounds like the best route.
You guys think that's better, right?
Yeah, it sounds like you're giving them a bunch of options to create an account on Cover Fighter. And yeah, they can take the first steps on creating this.
Yeah, and at the very least, we get risk data, even if they choose not to go into Cover Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, so we have Hispanovida app. What do we call the other one? Because this is for Spanish. What do we call the English version?
Yeah, I think it'll be easy enough to connect both databases to both websites to one database.
What we did is we got a GoDaddy website, right, Tommy?
Yeah, I mean, we can brainstorm what we want it to be called. I mean, it could be anything. It sounds like it's easy for Camilo to just hook up multiple websites into the same database, so we can just, we can get to that.
Yeah, we can rebrand each one, and they can all be connected to the same database. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then for the purpose of the drive-through, if it does the functions that we had talked about, then we can easily start getting them tested too. So that sounds like a good plan.
Any ideas for the English?
I think it's too long. COVID risk assessment. I think questionnaire or assessment. We could brainstorm after the call. We're not unless people have suggestions on the call that want to for this app. Anybody have any suggestions for the domain name, the website name for this questionnaire, this English questionnaire for COVID risk?
COVID-19 risk assessment would be good.
Yeah, but do you think that's complicated to fill out, COVID-19 risk? Yeah, people don't know how to spell assessment.
How about just COVID breaks?
Yeah, like
Survey.
COVID19risk.com is already taken. Like anything that has COVID is already taken. But see, Hispanovida we got because it was simpler.
COVID lucha.
In English, though.
What's that?
Like the Spanish version is Hispanovida app.
But that says
So it's-
Hispanic life, you know?
What's that?
The Hispanic life, what are you going to say, like American life? You know?
Yeah, American.
I mean, this is being used, right now the reach is really just South Florida, right? I mean, for the purposes of,
No, it's
Yeah.
actually, it's going to be used everywhere.
American life.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about American. I think we should call it something different, but right now the one that we have is called COVID Fighter app, right?
Yeah.
How about Corona risks?
Yeah, I tried to corner risk. There's a it's taken. Coronarisk.com.
Challenge life.
Yeah, coronarisk.com is taken.
Corona
How
risk.
about changing risk to threat?
What is it?
If we change the word risk to threat or something else.
A lot of people have difficulty with spelling, you know?
Coronavirus challenge.
Coronavirus challenge.
I think if we add free in front of anything, because it's a free questionnaire. Free,
Oh yeah, free. How about free
COVID
COVID
risk.
risk? Yeah, free COVID risk.
yeah. You want to try to talk?
Actually, freecovidrisk.com is available, Tommy.
Or you could do covidrisk.com.
I think that's taken too.
We
How
can do a
about
subdomain.
COVID risk eval.
Well, free COVID risk is available,
Evaluation, eval.
but free COVID risk is available.
Yeah, we
Okay,
can do that
perfect.
one.
That's great.
Any votes for free COVID risk?
I like how that sounds. I think that's good.
Yeah, same. I
I
like
like it too.
Yeah, I like it.
Tommy, you want to buy it on your end?
Yeah, I can do that. I like pre-COVID evaluation is also.
What's that? No, it's just people don't know how to spell. You'd be surprised. You know, people will know how to spell evaluation. Oh, they'll but you know, free COVID and risk are pretty easy to spell.
Mhm.
Mhm.
People, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, some people might spell risk with a C, but you never know. I'm just kidding. No, not
COVID risk, right?
freecovidrisk.com. I think
So
that'll be a
doesn't
good.
it sound like they're going to risk themselves for COVID virus?
How about your
There's no
COVID risk?
assessment in it. Like,
Oh, you wanna build the work assessment?
yes, we need assessment somehow.
Yeah, it's just people don't know how to spell assessment.
Yes.
Yes.
I think evaluation is easier to spell.
Eval is a good word.
Well, how about free COVID eval?
Eval.
Yeah, eval is good.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's available. Okay, free COVID eval.
Or just COVID eval, no?
But the word risk is more, I mean, people is acquainted to the word risk.
Yeah, I like risk.
How about
Yeah.
COVID risk eval?
Yeah, I like that.
What about test?
Testing would be a different thing.
Yeah, you're not really testing.
COVID risk today.
How about making it a little bit shorter, like covidra.com, like risk assessment in short?
Yeah.
We did the same thing for CD testing, coronavirus testing. So we did CV testing.larkinhospital.com. COVID RA.
Any votes? I don't know.
I haven't written down. Let's brainstorm after a little bit too.
You get COVID risk eval also?
Yeah, I wrote it down. COVID risk eval.
Yeah, it says eval is a high value keyword.
Yes.
So maybe COVID. Actually,
COVID risk eval.
yeah, COVID risk eval. So the idea would be, those would be the English and the Spanish risk assessment that we're going to promote. And then from there, it goes to COVID fighter, right? Anybody have any other comments?
Yeah, I would think maybe it's best that Camilo first starts on integrating it, depending on how easy it is for him to just do the link between the COVID, the questionnaire and COVID Fighter app. But for the drive-through purpose, to get these people tested, it would need to be some sort of risk evaluation inside of the COVID Fighter app. So, when prioritizing what to do, I think building it out in the inside of the COVID Fighter app would be the best way of getting these people tested.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we're going to have to create some sort of connection between this other.
Edmundo, your COVID risk is taken. You try my COVID risk. Yep, that's taken too. Yeah, those are all taken. Okay. Camilo, anything? Do you have anything else? You're muted.
I think we need
COVID fighter risk.
Yeah,
I threw it in the chat. But at the end of the day, we can do a subdomain. We can do risk.covidfighterapp.com.
Yeah, it just gets complicated with people typing all that. We want to make it simple. Like Hispanovida is very simple. Hispanovida.com.
Yes.
But we want something that's similar in English that's also easy to just put together.
So what's the translation of that?
Hispanic life, like in Ecuador, they use Ecuavida for the COVID app. So it gave us the idea of, we don't want to call it one country, so why don't we call it just like Hispanic? Yeah, I see risk. I think that's taken to risk COVID. So anyway, we'll figure out then the detail of the name. Anybody on the line is knowledgeable of machine learning type of stuff? Camilo, that was the other step, was that we're going to start with this protocol that is used in Ecuador, which kind of justifies us using it here. But then how do we make it better, right? That was the question.
How about COVID safety?
Okay, so sorry about that, guys. Basically, the Ecuador formula is tabulated. It's numbers. It's a function. We want to use machine learning to be able to take the location and these symptoms and give us a risk assessment based on what it determines. To do that, we're going to need to have a data center to actually collect that data and actually process these weights. But one solution that we found is that we actually could have the users do this processing power within their own device, doing what is called a user side uh, training. So basically, at any time a person submits a report, they will be submitting they will be also training our model, and it will also decrease our expenses dramatically by doing this.
But how does that change the formula though?
So we need to train a model. A model needs to have a set. It needs to go through epochs of training, and we need to compare it to actual data.
So you're saying we're going to have our model, and then we're going to see the data, and we're going to see how it correlates, basically.
Yeah, it needs to take the longitude, the latitudes, and it needs to take the risks and the preconditions from these people.
And how
once
many?
it does that, it's going to determine on its own. It's going to determine on its own through its own learning what the weights are on each of these, and then based on those results, it will give us its prediction. Again, we need to train that with processing power, like actual machines processing information.
When do we get the machine
that we found was, yeah, so usually we would use like a data center. We could rent a data center. We could rent Google instances. They would allow you to train your models on the cloud. But one solution that we're finding is that we can actually like train the model on the actual user's device. So the user itself, when they're filling out the report, we can take a moment to process this model, have it trained for a second, and then give us the information.
I'm not sure how that works. So how do you mean, like if I do it on my iPhone would be
Yes, your iPhone will be processing a little bit of this information itself when it's submitting the report.
okay.
Instead of having the data centers and everybody instead of having us to spend a dramatic amount of money into a data center training a model, we let it raise naturally. We let it grow up on its own based on the user demand.
And how do you put that together, Camilo? Because I'm not familiar with that.
So we need to get down to what type of algorithm we're going to be writing. There's different type of structures that we can follow. If any mathematicians, anybody scientific wants to come down on a specific model that we want to follow, a specific formula, a specific principle. So for now, we're going to be using we can use a simple regression, something that tries to fit to the curve as close as possible to what we tell it is the truth. I can get you a name of that.
Hernan, do you have any ideas on that?
Not really. I haven't done that, so it's not something that I can give you a response. I mean, I can do some digging and get with something.
Okay. Alejandro, any ideas?
What I'm envisioning is just a simple TensorFlow model that we can just throw on top to just kind of linear fit this curve.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be too fancy.
So the only thing you need is the confirmation whether they're positive or negative, and then that would help you build the model.
Yeah, all we would need is for the person to actually start submitting the report. and then every time they submit a report, the model will train a little bit, and we can kind of fit a little bit closer. We also will have to feed it what is the truth data. What is what are we looking for? Like, what symptoms are we for sure looking for?
Okay, we'll figure all that out. But okay,
It's hard. Yeah, we
Okay,
don't have that data yet, so it's gonna be tough. Yeah.
okay. For now, let's just work on building Camilo. So let's stay in touch.
All we can do is collect it for sure.
Okay, so we'll come up with the name in English. Maybe guys, whatever you shared in here, let's share it on group on team 10 chat, and then we'll put it to vote, and then we'll see which one we're gonna get. Just make sure that whatever you select is not already taken in just check on GoDaddy to make sure, so we don't vote on something that's already taken. Alejandro, any last minute thoughts?
No.
Okay, very good. Okay.
I'm just wondering how long it would take to the model to learn, how fast it will learn.
How many data points you mean? Like it depends on how many data points.
Yeah, that's the only point. Because it can learn, but how fast?
It can make quicker correlations than we humans can. So it will at some point be able to say X percentage of the time, you know, this ends up, every time somebody says they lack smell or taste, it's 100%. They all have it. I haven't seen one that doesn't. That would increase the value for that point. So instead of giving it a 1.5 like we are now, you might need to give that a 3 because you know you don't need anything else. But the problem with Ecuador is that they never really tested it with PCR testing. They kind of just assumed they were positive and that was it. There's no correlation. So that's the opportunity we have, is to really verify. But it could be as good as a test. And you saw that it took 3 minutes to take the actual questionnaire. So if you can get the results in 3 minutes and get contact traced, that's the value of it. If the formula works. But okay, any last minute thoughts or questions? I don't want to tie you up anymore. I know Camilo has to get back to building this thing.
Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I'm extremely exhausted.
All right, no problem. So Camilo, call me later. We'll go over. All right, very good. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.